Would you be willing to pay $1,000 for air? Of course not. Air is free. It is everywhere. But if I bottled it in a crystal jar, labeled it Breath of the Northern Dragon, and told you it would make you 10 years younger, would you reach for your wallet? Human beings are strange creatures. We value things based on scarcity, not on their true worth. We possess miracles every single day. Eyes to see, legs to walk, and a loyal friend who follows us through sun and storm, our shadow. But because the shadow is free, we despise it. We trample on it. We let it get dragged through the mud. We forget it even exists. So what would happen if one day a stranger appeared and declared, "The shadow you have is a fake. I am the only one who sells the real thing"? Tonight, come with me to the Town of Gilded Light, where the most spectacular swindle in history just took place. A scam where the seller sold absolutely nothing, yet the buyers received the most expensive lesson of their lives. Welcome to the story of Silas Vane, the man who sold shadows. The Town of Gilded Light was the wealthiest place in the kingdom. Here, people plated their doorknobs with gold and put diamond collars on their cats. The citizens had everything, and because they had everything, they suffered from a chronic disease: boredom. They craved the unique. They hungered for things their neighbors did not have. One noon, when the sun was high and the heat made the world shimmer, a pitch-black carriage rolled into the central square. Stepping out was Silas Vane. Silas was a tall, thin man dressed in a suit as black as ink, wearing a tall top hat. His skin was pale, contrasting sharply with his attire. He moved as softly as a cat, and a mysterious half-smile always played on his lips. He displayed no goods. He simply spread a black velvet rug in the middle of the square, placed a stool upon it, and sat down. He was silent. His silence amidst the noisy market attracted attention. The people of Gilded Light gathered around. "Hey you, what are you selling?" asked a stout lady, her hands heavy with rings. Silas looked up, his eyes deep and dark. "Madam, I do not sell material things. Material things are mundane. I sell the soul of light. I sell the perfect shadow." The crowd murmured. "A shadow? Everyone has a shadow." A blacksmith scoffed, pointing at his feet. "Look, mine is right here." Silas stood up. He walked around the blacksmith, shaking his head in disapproval. "That? You call that smudged, distorted, pale gray stain a shadow? Oh no, sir. That is merely a dirty smear of light. It trembles when you are afraid. It vanishes when you step into the shade. That is a discount shadow." He paused, spreading his arms wide, his voice mesmerizing. "The shadow I sell is pure noir. It is darker than the night. It is sharp as a razor. It enhances the stature of its master. And most importantly, it is a symbol of nobility. Only those with extraordinary inner strength deserve to possess it." The crowd began to waver. In Gilded Light, nothing excited them more than the words nobility and exclusive, but they were still skeptical. How could one buy a shadow? The first to step forward was Mayor Pompous, a man who always wanted to be first in everything. "How much?" Pompous asked, sticking out his large belly. "For you, Mr. Mayor, the price is 100 gold coins, a bargain for eternity," Silas replied. Pompous threw a bag of money onto the rug. "Do it now. I want my shadow to be bigger than that blacksmith's." Silas smiled. He pulled from his pocket a pair of silver scissors and a spool of invisible thread. He asked Pompous to stand in the center of the rug, exactly where the sunlight hit the hardest. He began to cut Pompous's old shadow. He danced the scissors around the edge of the shadow on the ground. Snip, snip. I am removing the impurities, Silas whispered. I am cutting away the cowardice and hesitation from your old shadow. Then, he mimed taking an invisible fabric from a trunk, draping it over the spot of the old shadow, and sewing it to the heel of Pompus's shoe. Done! Silas shouted, stepping back. Behold, a masterpiece! Pompus looked down. Under the harsh noon sun, on the clean velvet rug, his shadow appeared incredibly dark and sharp. Because Silas had cleverly positioned him where the light was strongest and the background was cleanest, the contrast was extreme. Oh, Pompus gasped. It really is black. It really is huge. Look at those sharp lines. In reality, his shadow was the same, but his attention had changed. Before, he had never looked closely at his shadow. Now that he had paid 100 gold coins, he looked at it with worshipful eyes. He saw beauty he had previously ignored. I feel heavier, Pompus said, deluding himself. I feel more authoritative. He walked away, head held high. He walked deliberately slowly so his shadow would glide nobly. The Pompous effect spread like a virus. Seeing the mayor with a perfect shadow, the other wealthy citizens could not bear to be left behind. Sell me one. I want a slender silhouette, demanded the stout lady. Sell me a warrior's shadow. The blacksmith changed his mind. Silas worked without rest. For each person, he performed a different play. For the lady, he polished the edges of the shadow to make it look softer. For the blacksmith, he tempered the shadow to make it look tougher. In truth, Silas only did two things. He swept the ground perfectly clean where the customer stood. A clean floor makes a sharp shadow. He positioned the customer at the perfect angle to the sun. But the people of Gilded Light didn't care about physics. They cared about the feeling. They paid Silas thousands of gold coins. The whole town started a bizarre trend: shadow care. They walked carefully so as not to step on each other's shadows. They scrubbed their floors until they gleamed so the shadows would display best. They avoided walking in the shade for fear of damaging their expensive product. Silas Vane became filthy rich. His pockets were heavy with gold. He watched the people admiring the black shapes under their feet and chuckled to himself. They are not buying shadows. They are buying confidence. And confidence is indeed expensive. 3 days later, Silas announced he would leave to bring his miracle to other lands. But just as he was about to board his carriage, the sky suddenly went dark. Black clouds rolled in. A summer storm poured down violently. The sun vanished. And naturally, all the shadows vanished too. The square erupted in chaos. My shadow! Where is it? Pompus screamed, looking down at his feet to see only rain puddles. I just paid 500 gold coins. Did it dissolve in water? The stout lady wailed. Fraud! He sold us cheap goods. It breaks when it gets wet. The angry mob surrounded Silas's carriage. They dragged him into the mud. Give us back our money. You stole our shadows. Silas Vane showed no fear. He adjusted his top hat, shook the rain off his coat, and stood tall in the middle of the circle. He raised a hand, commanding silence. "Oh, foolish people of Gilded Light," Silas said, his voice booming over the rain. "What are you looking for? A dark patch? We are looking for the perfect shadow you sold us," Pompus roared. "I took nothing from you," Silas replied calmly, "and I gave you nothing you did not already have." He pointed to the gray sky. The shadow is the child of light. Without a father, how can there be a child? Did you think 100 gold coins could buy the laws of nature? The crowd fell silent, but they were still fuming. Just then, the clouds began to part. The rain slowed. The sun, brilliant and proud, peeked out from behind the clouds again. And immediately, under the feet of Mayor Pompous, under the feet of the stout lady, under the feet of the blacksmith, the shadows reappeared. They were still black, still sharp, thanks to the rain washing the streets clean, and still faithfully attached to their heels. Silas smiled. "Look, it has returned. Did I cast a spell? Did I have to sew it back on?" A poor boy in the crowd, the only one who didn't have money to buy a shadow, suddenly burst out laughing. "Sir, my shadow came back too, and I didn't pay a single penny. My shadow looks exactly like the mayor's." The child's innocent words were like a bucket of ice water thrown in the faces of the adults. They looked at their shadows. Then they looked at the poor boy's shadow. They were exactly the same. The shadow of the rich was as black as the shadow of the poor. The shadow of the one who paid 100 gold coins was as long as the shadow of the one who paid nothing. Pompous turned purple with embarrassment. He realized he had bought something that creation had gifted to everyone with absolute equality. Silas Vane climbed onto his carriage. This time, no one stopped him. He stood on the step, looking down at the shamed crowd. "I will keep this money," Silas said, "not as payment for shadows, but as tuition." "Tuition for what?" the blacksmith asked. "Tuition for attention. Before I came, did you ever look at your shadow?" "No, you took it for granted. When I arrived and shouted a price of 100 gold coins, you started polishing it, admiring it, taking pride in it. The shadow remained the same. Only your eyes changed." Silas tossed a small bag of coins onto the ground, the money of the poorest people to whom he had refused to sell. "Remember this: the value of a thing does not lie in the price tag stuck to it. Value lies in whether we know how to cherish its presence." The carriage rolled away, leaving the town of Gilded Light in the golden afternoon sun. The people stood there, watching him go. Then they looked down at their feet. For the first time in years, they truly saw the silent friend beneath them. They saw the shadow swaying with their breath. They saw the magic of light and dark. They had been tricked out of their money, but they had bought a new pair of eyes. My dear friend, the story of Silas Vane and the expensive shadows has ended. But look back at your own life. How many free things do we own but neglect, simply because they have no price tag? We have air to breathe every second. We have sleep to restore us. We have the hugs of our loved ones. We have time. We often wait until someone threatens to take them away, or until we have to pay a heavy price in a hospital, to start taking care of our lungs, cherishing our sleep, or valuing time with family. Do not wait for a clever merchant to come and sell you what you already have. Do not wait until you lose it to realize its worth. Happiness is like your shadow. It costs no money. It is always right there beneath your feet, by your side. It requires only one condition to become visible: the light of gratitude. Turn on the lamp of gratitude, and you will see how rich you truly are. You possess treasures that even kings cannot buy. Thank you for listening. Wishing you a peaceful night, and don't forget to look down at your feet to say hello to your silent soulmate.